getting any audio test going?
I haven't even tested John yet.
These outputs generally what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
How's it checking? I see like.
Are you okay? Are you?
Yeah, if you're not going to be standing here, I'm fine.
Okay, yeah, I'm just gonna leave that there. Okay.
You getting anything? Audio?
Joe? We're gonna begin in about 2 minutes. Okay, we're about to begin the press conference. So first of all, good morning and welcome to our press conference. On Thursday, September 22nd, the Trillium Gift of Life Network reached a decision not to recommend presumed consent in Ontario. They advised the Ontario government about their decision, and Premier McGuinty supported the recommendation and went on to state that Ontarians would never accept the opt-out system. This morning, I'm here to strongly challenge both the decision made by the Trillium Gift of Life Network and the statement made by Premier McGuinty. First of all, I'd like to acknowledge our sponsor, Multimedia Nova, owners of Courrier Canadese and 13 other newspapers, and introduce beside me ex-MPP Barbara Fisher. She has something to say and will follow soon. I also have a statement from the NDP party, which will be read out. I need to mention that Mrs. Lolita Piccinini, who is scheduled to also be here, sends her regrets to everyone. In the last minute, she got pretty emotional and too many painful memories arose. And I just want to begin by reading out her letter. Lolita Piccinini is in the health and safety field with a nursing background. Due to the recent passing of her brother, she has not been able to be here herself. However, she has asked me to read this statement on her behalf. In the last year and a half, she has lost a cousin and both her brothers due to the lack of available organ transplants. Their deaths could have been avoided had there been more organ donors. I would like to state up front that I, Lolita Piccinini, am not affiliated with any movement, group, or political forum. This is my story, which I hope will raise awareness for the need for more organ and tissue donors. My two brothers, both in their 50s, passed away within the last 14 months waiting for organ transplants. Their hopes and dreams shattered. They were incredible men, full of life and purpose. They were loving and caring individuals who focused on giving back to society and impacting many people from all walks of life in a positive way. My younger brother, John, who we lost in June 2004, was a leader in his community, offering a vision to create an art center, which I'm proud to say is becoming a reality. John cared deeply about the people around him, and he was never too busy to give a helping hand to anyone who was in need. My brother Tom, who died only 3 weeks ago, was a brilliant math teacher for 33 years. He left a legacy of students who not only understood math, but life better because of him. The students held an honor guard at his funeral and coordinated a moving memorial mass as well. Tom had written a letter to each of the students acknowledging their strengths and positive qualities and encouraging them to stretch beyond what they thought they were capable of achieving. One of the students read her letter at the memorial mass, and she said she would keep the letter forever. Neither of them will be here to see the outcome of the seeds that they sowed. If there had been more organs available, I'm sure they would have been able to continue to live. But instead, I have to stand by with my elderly parents and watch both of them die a painful death and feel helpless at not being able to do anything about it. We are not here in search of pity. My brothers would have hated that. Instead, let their deaths not be in vain, but rather a catalyst for education and inspiration. You can make a difference by signing donor cards, encouraging others to sign donor cards, and find the means and ways to increase our donor rate. And we understand why you couldn't be here today. Believe it. About 2 months ago, while I was in the Toronto hospital myself, receiving my second liver transplant, 3 people on my floor died within 10 days as well. Ontario's rate of cadaveric organ donation has been very bad for many years now, and the demand for organs grows every year. Step by Step has claimed for the past 8 years is that our claim for the past 8 years is that Ontario has the potential to save everyone on the waiting list. For the past 8 years, Step by Step has brought this issue to the forefront in Ontario as well as the rest of Canada. We have many achievements to prove this, including the creation of the present-day Trillium Gift of Life Network. For the past 8 years in Ontario alone, we have promoted the importance of organ donations in over 100 cities and towns. We created thousands of events and activities in these communities. Millions of Ontarians have heard our message and had received donor cards as well. From school kids to churchgoers to the ethnic community and people from all walks of life, we heard their voices loud and clear. They were in favor of maximizing the potential of available organs, and as well supported the Spanish model if that's what it took to get the job done. We have this information documented, and we're going to prove it. Premier McGuinty, I met you a few times, and I really think that you're a nice guy, but your assumption that Ontarians will not support presumed consent is 1,000% wrong. We will prove this in our report and documentary, along with a questionnaire, which will target millions of Ontarians. A true Ontario voice will develop as a result. Premier McGuinty, we challenge the Ontario government to debate us on this issue in a high-profile public format. You can assemble your team and we'll assemble ours. The public needs to hear both sides of this issue so that they can make a more informed decision on which system Ontario should be using and not presume what Ontarians think. The issue at hand should be the Spanish model, which partly includes presumed consent, versus the Ontario model. In the spirit of our great province, Premier McGuinty, please accept our challenge. Thousands of lives could be depending on the outcome. And to the Trillium Gift of Life Network, we challenge your decision not to recommend presumed consent. Questions were, why was Step by Step not included when it came to addressing the board on this matter? And what information did you base your decision on? And why was this issue of presumed consent raised as opposed to raising the true issue of the Spanish model, which should have been the real issue? The public is hearing half the story right now, and it's not accurate. Our challenge to you is to invite us as a credible working group within your organization so we can both share in meeting our mutual mandate, and that is to save as many people as possible on the waiting list. This issue needs to become a top priority in Ontario, and that is why it is important to encourage dialogue at the water coolers and debate this throughout our entire province. It is our value system in Ontario that needs to get defined. And if we want to save everybody on the list bad enough, it can happen. They're doing it in Spain and other countries. Why not here? We have the potential. What could be more important than saving a life? I will now read the headline statement from the NDP, NDP party, Peter Cormos. And I believe this release has been distributed, but basically the headline is, "Where's the McGuinty plan for organ donation?" And with that, happy to turn the floor over to Barbara Fisher, and following her speech, any questions that need to be asked could be addressed to me, or if there's specific questions to ask Barbara, she's here to answer them. Thank you.
Thanks, George, and good morning, everybody. I'm involved because I care. I am a past member of the government that, in fact, funded the Ontario Trillium Gift of Life Network to the tune of $120 million. In 1999, Premier of the day, Premier Harris, made that commitment to Ontarians to move forward on the issue. It was because of George's work that, in fact, that fund was set up. It was introduced in a throne speech, and work began. It wasn't until about a year ago now, or maybe not even that long, that I met George personally, and it was through a friend that said, "This is a person you need to meet." I'm not here today as representing any political party. This issue doesn't have a political boundary, and people are missing that. What needs to happen is we need to move forward with passion and commitment to do what, in fact, the Trillium Gift of Life Network was set up to do. I've had the opportunity with George to meet with representatives of the network on 2 occasions. Prior to George going to Europe on his own expense with the support of the media network, we met with Trillium Gift of Life, and we offered to do the research and help prepare the educational pieces that are necessary so that the public can become more aware of and perhaps move forward towards becoming donors themselves. That was declined. Instead, they chose to hire a research person. We asked to work with that person. That wasn't permitted. We asked to meet with the board, by the way of which there are brand new members on. What a time, what an opportunity to bring this case forward and start afresh. If in fact for the past couple of years they haven't been able to move forward in terms of increasing the number of donors, then now is an opportunity to do it with these brand new board members. That was declined. Instead, we did a statement last week where the Premier of the province decides for all of us that Ontarians aren't ready. Based on what? One would question that. So we're not here to fight about it, we're here to help. George's step-by-step is a very, very impressive, strong commitment that has been made by a person who's been affected. I really just am an assistant. There's nothing in this for me except for to move the issue forward on behalf of George and every Ontarian, and where possible, every Canadian that has a need for a donor transplant. Just so you understand, there is an audit done on the number of transplants that happens throughout Canada. Just before George went to Europe, the announcement on this year's audit were made. It's a sad statement when we have $120 million new dollars into that organization since 1999, that there's a 0% growth in organ donations in the province of Ontario. The audit statement from last year says that. It's a sad statement that they can't see that we need to move forward, maybe in a different manner in which it's happening. So one would question where the money is and where it's being committed. To commit that they will make it mandatory that doctors, in fact, consult with the relatives of a deceased person is important. That can't be not. That's a step forward. But if that's as far as we've gone in that amount of time with that much money, something is sorely lacking. The time is now to move forward. It's to move forward with the research that really needs to be done. It needs to be done collaboratively. It needs to be done in support and with the Ontario Trillium Gift of Life Network. That's a commitment that we made, and it hasn't been taken up yet. And hopefully today, this will change things. The education needs to happen. Public isn't aware. For somebody to assume that this would not be accepted is a wrong assumption. George says 1,000% times worse than ever. It might be more than that. It's not all about presumed consent either. This is something that has to go through a process. There are 23 other countries in the world that actually practice presumed consent. Canada doesn't have to be there at one step, but it needs to move forward. We made recommendations in May and June as to how to move forward. We were hoping, at least from those meetings, that some of that input would have been helpful in determining the next step for the foundation to move forward. Last week's announcement just ignored it. The public needs to be involved, and by whatever means it takes and is necessary for us to take, to find the funds to make that happen, we are going to move forward. Hopefully it can be collectively with the current government, but if it can't be, we're going to move forward anyways. The people are going to have the right to speak, and nobody should speak on behalf of other people on this issue until they've had the opportunity, number one, to be educated, and number two, to have the right to voice their opinion. And we will make that available to them. And I'm not going to say much more except for that I'm here to help George, and I will continue to do that. And, hopefully we can move forward. I guess it takes a survivor to understand how significant this is. And when we know that there are 4,000 persons right now waiting for organs, and day by day people die who these organs could be obtained through and from. And I'm sure, if given the opportunity to have that decision, might have made that progress. So, in closing, I just want to say I'm here to support George, and we'll move forward.
Thank you. Before we start the questions, I want to recognize the leader of the Ontario MVP Party, Mr. Howard Hampton, for joining us in the audience. Thank you for coming. And with that, we can open the floor with questions. What is the Spanish model? The Spanish model is a system that has been used widely, the term, by many countries, especially the ones that adapted similar systems. In 1989, they passed a law where everybody became an organ donor unless they opted out. But as Barb mentioned, and we're going to keep on mentioning, it wasn't the only part of the Spanish model. As well, they organized special teams at every transplant hospital to not only comfort the family that was making the donation, but as well to take any vetoes from the family members. And I have statistics, because I recently came from there. During the time that this law has passed, there's been a minimal amount of family members that have vetoed the decision. And so that's the other part of it. And as well, they incorporated the non-heart beating donations to retrieve organs. In Canada, we're still practicing with brain dead only. And because as a result of incorporating the heart dead donations, there was increases anywhere from 20 to 50%, and similar results were shown in other countries that adapted that procedure as well. And there's other factors that increased the rate of organ donation. So it became more of an attitude and perception, and how the country made that issue a priority. And the 23 other countries that had adapted similar systems has shown the same success. So that's why we refer to the issue as Spanish model as opposed to presumed consent. And presumed consent, in other words like negative option, it kind of leaves a negative word in people's minds. So for a headline to be, negative, will you support negative option, and not explain the rest of the story, it's not fair. So hopefully one day we can change that word to a more positive word, because that's That's what it is positive.
What are the rates of donation?
Here in Ontario or in Canada, the rate of donations, I don't have the latest statistics, but I can tell you this, that Ontario is one of the lowest in the world. And, you know, we shouldn't be there.
Why is that, in your opinion? Why do you think Ontario's rates are so low?
Well, I think we haven't really made this issue a priority. Where in the 1980s, Spain had accepted transplants as a cure, and they took that literally. And the government, the present government at that time, the king, they all made the issue a priority in their country because they had the mindset of what could be more important than utilizing a cure, and that will save lives. As a result of making a priority, they went to work on developing the best system. Here in Canada, we haven't reached that issue yet with our government officials to make it a priority so we can give it the attention that it needs so that Canada can maximize the potential available organs. But we're getting there. I think as in Ontario and the rest of the country, we're realizing that the potential of saving thousands of lives should be a priority, and that eventually we're, you know, hopefully we'll have the best system we can possibly have. So it's a matter of what is our priority? Do we want it bad enough here? And just from our research and everything, the public does want it bad enough, but we got to get the politicians to understand this. Sure.
I'll add to that. There are a couple of things that could happen that are very simple, already in place, so it doesn't involve creating new bureaucracy to handle this type of issue. For example, right now, we have an opportunity when we get our driver's license through an organ donor card to indicate whether or not people want to be involved, and if so, how and for what part of organs you might want to be involved. We made a recommendation that why would we not attach it to the health card? The health card now is on an automatic renewal system. Once you get rid of those old red and white ones, which is coming, you're into a photo ID health card. Why would it not be at that time, every single time that you have to go in and renew a health card, because it's there anyways and you have to be there anyways, that you would not be asked the question? Even if you, that's the step-by-step method. If governments can't get their mind around going the whole way to a presumed consent situation and have to step their way through it, and maybe that's what has to happen, then one easy, simple way to do it would be a system that's already there through the medical health card. Everybody has to have one to be treated. And guess what they look for when you enter a hospital and you're dying? They look for your health card because they have to charge it back to something. That kind of simple recommendation was made. It didn't even come out of the report and the research that was announced last week. It's just no. And that doesn't make sense to anybody. I mean, when we go around and we talk about it as a first step, would that not be something that could happen very easily? Everything is in place to make it happen. But it's falling on deaf ears. I question, where is this money going? Where is the advancement that we expected to see take place? It doesn't matter what government. It's there, it's committed. But somebody do something productive with it. That's a simple step. So the tools aren't in place is one of the reasons why the consent ratio isn't higher. The education is not there. I think George said it best when he said the public isn't aware. It hasn't been addressed. It's not an issue that is put in front of you that often that makes you make that determination whether or not you want to be involved. And it needs to be.
George, can you say and spell your last name?
George Marcello, M-A-R-C-E-O-O.
And what's your title, George?
Founder and CEO of Step by Step. Any more questions? Okay. Well, once again, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
George, sorry, can I just ask you a favor? Can you just sit there for 1 second?
Sure.
We had an audio cable plugged in,
Sure.
so we couldn't get behind you. Thank you.
Rose?
Yes.
I'll be with you guys in just a
No
few-
problem.
Studio etiquette.
Okay.
This here makes it hard for people to get by, so I suggest in the future, try something like this. Okay, kind of like this. That way, you
Yeah.
can still walk by it inside. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We're always working with the present system. And as a result of that, everything that we do will help out the situation. But I actually do have a meeting with the CEO and October 7th.
Did you get a release?
Yeah, I was gonna ask you a question too. If you wanted to just a side interview in here, is it possible to keep those lights on? Just so we know.
But, I mean, you can work with these
Yeah,
lights.
well, we brought our
because
own.
all you have to do, well, you don't need to do
Yeah.
that, it's a studio, but a lot of times what people do is they set up in the hall, you know, just to give it a different perspective
Yeah.
and stuff like
It's
that.
not gonna stop.
But you're welcome to, if you want to interview George in here, you know, just use the available lighting. Your camera should be able to, yeah, just do a new white balance. You know, the temperature, color temperature of these lights are, they're about 38. Here is about 32. So there's a slight difference.
Okay, thank you.
And it looks good. What you might want to do, I'll leave that one on if you want. Which side do you want to go?
You know what, I'm thinking of going outside actually.
Yeah?
So give me a sec. I'm gonna go.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
No
Thanks.
problem. I was watching Thunder Bay television off Star Choice yesterday, right? And they did a weather recap. And the cameraman there was a graphic around it, just a weather update, and the weather girl was talking, and so it was. But the thing about it is, they did a handheld, and the whole time it's going like this, and I'm thinking, you know, so especially when you put in a graphic.
Exactly. Notice the movement.
Cable television.
They're afraid. Yeah, they're afraid to take the hard, they're afraid to do the work, they're afraid to raise an issue that might do a big conversation. Yeah. Like you said, everybody's a person. That's so true. Everything is there right now. If they can do it through MTO, they can do it through MTO. And there's no way that requires any of these things. That's all right. You know? And it should be a prerequisite before you get help. You are going to address that issue. Will you or not?
Do you want a quote from the power temperature before,
That, no, that, if I was sitting today as the health minister, I would put in place something that said, next time you go for your health card, regardless of what you think, you will address the issue. At that stage, you have an option to opt out or opt in. Okay? There should be against that. Yeah, yeah, exactly. exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. There is no way he should be against that. You know, it doesn't cost him a cent more, and they do have them. You know, there was a commitment made. Spend it, smart. Don't stand around telling doctors what they already should be doing. Like, what kind of commitment was that?
Young man, still a young guy.
That wasn't a last call or anything.
Oh, yes, it was.
Take your time.
Yeah. God bless him. McGinnis is still a young man.
You know
He'll
what,
learn
though?
a little bit.
When you're the premier of the province, you
Yeah.
can be whatever age you want to be, you still have responsibility. Just do it.
Are you still up in Kincardine? Or-
I'm here a lot of the time, I have contracts here right now. I'm
Oh.
a private consultant, so right now I'm doing some stuff with Arthritis Society and that type of thing. But.
But you were based in Kincardine?
Kincardine, yeah, my home is still there,
Yeah.
and, and I'm there about, right now, about 1/3 time. But earlier this year, I was there half-time at least.
Yeah. Well, that's interesting. We'll be going up for Thanksgiving.
Oh, yeah? Where are you going?
Do you know the Grahams at all on, Vi Graham?